So please tell me first what's your name, where you are now, maybe also your age.
Okay, okay. Yes, I'm sitting in my study in Oslo,
Mhm.
Norway, capital of Norway, uh, in a house where I live together with my husband and my dog. And I'm 75 years old. And yes, and we live in this house for almost 30 years,
Okay.
next to the forest, so it's very nice. Mm,
Ah, wow.
yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh. And your dog is big or small? I
Yeah,
wonder.
we have a quite quite big dog, black dog, very cozy family dog,
Hmm.
very good for grandchildren and yeah, sometimes for students and for other people.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
very friendly. Mm.
Uh, I'm interested in in those Norwegian names because your name is Gro, right? Right, Gro, and it's like this is the name Gro. It's not a short version. It's Gro.
Yeah, it means to grow.
Ah,
Yes, so it's a very old Norwegian name. So
ah,
if I should say it in Norwegian, it's Gro.
uh-huh.
So
Mm,
Gro, yes, Gro,
mhm,
and it means to grow. So
uh-huh.
that's for me very nice.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
And uh, say
Wow.
something.
Yeah. I'm interested. So it's connected with kind of Norwegian history. Yes,
Mm,
old name and uh-huh.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So but it was more than my parents when they gave, and I have a brother and a sister, and when they gave us names, they wanted us to have short names. And that was especially because my mother had a very long name and she got a nickname and she didn't want us to have it. And it was just after the war, and it was also fashion. So all these names after the no, after the war were more or less short, like Anna and Kari and Gro, a lot of short names. My sister is called Liv.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so that's
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I like it. Yeah,
thank you.
and I've been also uh, thinking because we haven't met, but I was wondering if you have been to Poland before.
I have been to Krakow
Uh-huh.
several times. We have been to conferences there,
Uh-huh.
um, uh,
EAT.
EAGT, and also in other leaders conference in
Uh-huh.
Forge. I don't know if you know Forge
Yeah,
or
I've heard. Yeah.
yes. So, but you don't live in Krakow. Oh, you live
In
somewhere.
Łódź. Yeah, I live in Łódź, but I studied. I mean, I did my Gestalt training in Krakow. Mhm.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You have two institutes there, or you
Yeah.
had at least. Yes, we were part of the story.
Exactly. Okay. Oh, nice. So you know Poland, and I've never been to well, to Norway actually.
Oh,
So
no.
so maybe EAGT conference will be held someday in Norway.
Well, that has been sometimes suggested, but I always say it's too expensive to come to
Uh,
Norway. That's
mhm,
that's the challenge, the
mhm,
price.
mhm,
Huh?
mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but well, I would like to ask you the very first question is about you. You know, as a person, as a human being, how would you say about yourself? Who you are as a person? What your values are?
Mm, yeah.
Passions?
Passions, yes. One of my passions is skiing, cross
Mm,
country skiing. So I've just been skiing today.
wow. Yeah.
It's winter time here, so it's uphill. There are very nice skiing conditions. So that's one of my passions. That's actually sometimes creating problems for me because when there are good skiing conditions, I want to ski and not to work. So that's but that's one of my passions.
Oh.
And Yeah, I'm actually, yeah, very much an outdoor person. Always been very active outside, so that's
Mhm.
part of it. Mm. But then yeah, I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I have um, bonus grandchildren, and yeah, I'm married to Dan. And like I said, I grew up just after the war in Norway, and I think that has influenced me as a person very much with social democratic ideas and building up the country. And oh, we had to be working hard, careful, and uh, kind of yeah, having respect and being decent and careful, and yeah, a lot of actually a lot of values also with this taking care of each other, being together, kind of um, yeah, not not so much actually in the families, but us, but in the society, in and I've always been a fighter for justice, and yeah, so that's
Mm.
and that I have to do everything uh, not good but proper. It has to be well done, and I finish it, and yeah, I have kind of uh, uh, ideas about quality. It has, yeah.
Mhm.
So that's I think actually um, it's a lot from I see in my generations also that we have these we shouldn't throw away the food, we should use everything, we should
Uh-huh.
make things ourselves, and we should grow vegetables in the garden, and
Uh-huh.
a lot of values in a way. So and taking care of each other,
Mhm. Mhm.
helping each other.
Yeah, so like ideas connected with, you said social democratic values and connected with civil society, something
Yeah, yeah,
something like that.
yes, 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 yes.
Which, yeah, I mean, I imagine, I mean, that Norway is one of those countries where this civil society has started to grow after the Second World War,
Mm,
no?
yes,
And
yes, yes.
uh-huh,
Yes, it is very interesting to look back to this when we all were quite poor and there were not many rich people, and and that in our country we should more or less be equal, and that the Social Democratic Party was very big and
uh-huh,
really worked hard for that we should be equal and have all the rights. And even before we got the oil, we had all these pension systems, and yeah, kind a lot of um, taking care, and it's kind of being loyal to each other, to the society, and so there are a lot of values, a lot of trust. That's, I think, still in Norway,
uh-huh,
that
uh-huh.
we have a lot of trust still to politicians and still to each other. And yeah, that's
Mhm.
we follow the rules.
Yeah, and what about your family, your parents? Did they influence you in some other ways, or more or less the same as you?
No, yeah, they were not really social democratic, but I grew up in it. I mean, no, my father was a director in a big in a firm with radios, etc. That my grandfather had started in Norway, in my Kulni, and with uh, all these radio things. But he was not happy in his work. But he was an engineer, so. and he was very much, and also my mother, very much against the social democratic, and but I mean they uh, they had to live in it, and
Mhm.
so but I think for parents, I think when I talked to, I always said my parents shouldn't be married, but I'm happy they were, because if not, I wouldn't have been there. But they were very different persons, and
Uh-huh.
my father was decent, uh, always very correct, very bright, and actually very kind. And my mother, she was more artistic, more,
Mhm.
uh, and she was an alcoholic,
Uh-huh.
very unhappy, and
Mhm.
very happy in the family when we were together, very social, and other times very unhappy. So it was, but I and my friends, we lived our lives on the streets. I mean, they were not really streets, but outside.
Uh-huh.
Very, and I was a Girl Scout, and so, and
Mm.
in a youth club, etc. So I lived my life a lot outside.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't really influence my political view or my social, and I was very much engaged. I'm a social worker in the bottom,
Uh-huh.
so
Oh.
I was
Mm.
I by justice,
Uh-huh.
care of people, and saving the world.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
Lot
Well,
of ideas.
mm. Yeah, so it's interesting uh, yeah, to actually to make those parallels with Poland uh,
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the time, you
yes.
know. Mm, yeah,
You have the communist after the war, and that was very
exactly.
different.
Yeah.
And maybe some similarities.
And
I
maybe, of
must,
course, and some
yeah,
similarities and some kind of searching for values, you know,
yes, yes,
and beliefs, you know, new values after the war. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm,
yeah,
hmm.
yeah.
And in some way also social justice, but yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
it came with you protesting against the communists and all this.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah, yeah.
supported that very
And
much.
firstly, yeah, we believed in, you know, in Marxism, Leninism, and then yeah, and then not. Yeah,
I
so
know, yes,
it's
and
amazing. And also about this, you know, alcoholism, which is also, I mean, because we in Poland, there are so many stereotypes about Polish people, about problems with alcohol in Polish
okay.
families, and now it's another person from Norway that I hear about it, and it's a
Yeah,
relief in a way that it is.
yes, yes. I think, uh, yeah. I know you interviewed Vikram. Huh?
Uh-huh,
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. But my mother, I think she she really was an alcoholic, but she was. I mean, when she married, she stopped working, and she was open about it, that she was alcoholic and that she was drinking.
mm,
And but I, as a child, didn't really understand it.
uh-huh,
I mean, she didn't hide it, and it
uh-huh,
was like I don't think I saw her drunk.
uh-huh, okay,
But I think it influenced me very much because she was unpredictable,
uh-huh,
which is. But in Norway, I think there probably was a lot of unhappy people after the war.
uh-huh, uh,
I think this is, and maybe not just the war, but she had an unhappy love affair before she met my father,
mhm,
and uh, and then the war came and all
yeah,
this. So
yeah,
I think we are more growing up after the war with parents being traumatized from the
Yes.
war. Yeah,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
that's of course also important. No? So, but
Uh-huh.
it's the traumas can be so different, huh? So I
Yeah.
think, yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
It's interesting what you're
mm,
saying here. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she managed her life, and we grew up in an okay family,
Mm-hmm.
and but we were very lucky because we were growing up in a new, yeah, not a kind of suburb, but not with flat buildings, but with small houses spread around next to the forest also. And there we were uh, people from all kind of classes and groups,
Hmm.
which was very healthy. And it
Oh,
was so then it that's why I think I've become social democratic, because
yeah.
I mean next to us lived the workers,
Uh-huh.
and we were in a mixture of all kind of
Wow.
economies, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, so that was,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And I think these surroundings, and also that I become a Girl Scout and went to a Christian youth club, kind of saved me from my unpredictable mother. And all, we all have mothers, so
Yeah, yeah.
mm,
But yeah, amazing with this with this residential area that you actually yeah, that was so heterogeneous. Uh, you know, people coming from different classes.
yes, yes, yes. Oh, that was so fantastic.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was kind of small little place, and on one side we were living kind of in area, and on the one side lived the workers, and on the other side lived the upper class, or
Uh-huh.
so called. And we, as a, with these new built houses in the middle, and made kind of open society where all
Yeah.
lived together,
Mhm.
at least for some time, happily.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And tell me how did you, I mean, how did that continue with your life, with you being a Girl Scout, being, you know, living outdoor most of the time? I mean, like with your values, when you went to high school, then to after high school to university, I imagine. What were your what influenced you then? What were your, you know, dreams, passions?
Yeah, I think when I went to high school, I was in a Christian youth club, so I really had a strong belief in God,
Uh-huh.
and it was this was also uh, it after the war, it kind of blossoming around in Oslo with all these different Christian youth clubs. That was a society, and that's where I learned to be a leader and a social worker, everything. But and I had a very big belief in God, so which was um, making me yeah, my ideals to help people, and so I already knew very early I wanted to be a social worker, and at that time um, it was kind of private college.
Uh-huh.
So it was not part of university, and we had to work before. So I went to England and worked in a hospital there, and I worked in the child guidance clinic
Uh-huh.
to have practice
Uh-huh.
before I started.
Oh,
Uh, um,
social work, right?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was really, I mean, I was very much into what is meaning with life, and can I believe in God or not? So I had a lot of what do you call inner battles
Mm-hmm.
in my belief systems.
Yeah, dilemmas, right.
Yeah, and I mean, it was very good to for me to believe in God, and I really was going to church and doing all this. But then uh, after some time, uh, maybe on the social high school also, there we were also a mixture from the most Christian to the most Marxistic, Leninistic, socialistic. There were everything in the mix. Wonderful. And this was in the end of the 60s.
Uh-huh.
So it was
Ah,
really a revolutionary time. So, and then I become probably more an existentialist, and
uh-huh.
it is life, and we live here and now, and I think I got there much more influenced about, which is also part of Christianity. Huh? You live here and now, and you are in the moment, and there is a time for everything, which actually goes very much with values in Gestalt and in the existential way of thinking. So
Mhm.
it was not very difficult to adapt values from Christianity to
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
existential way of thinking. So it was, yeah, and it was very good to be in this. I think when I went, we had a 3 year study. Today it's a bachelor,
Uh-huh.
and but then it was kind of a revolutionary study too, where we made our own. Not me so much. I was a bit careful. I was one of the youngest. I mean, here there were people at 50 standing there. So, but so we had to think ourselves and create. How do we want to learn? How can we? So I become very also interested in pedagogic. You
Mhm.
understand? Yeah. And how do I learn?
Mhm.
Because I'm not. I'm a slow learner. I
Mhm.
have to learn by experience,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's what I did.
Uh-huh.
uh,
Uh-huh.
Studying to be
Uh,
a social worker.
yeah,
Mm.
and so we started with social work, and how did you come to Gestalt? By pedagogy or social work?
Life is strangely linked, because in we had Walter Kempler, who is was a Gestalt therapist coming from Denmark. So we engaged him for 1 week. So we had in our social work class, we had Gestalt therapy, and he made
Wow.
demonstrations. And we also had 1 week with sensitivity training. So, and this, I never forgot that. So later, when I was working as yeah, not when I was working as a social worker, actually, I got married uh, some years later, and then I got children,
Mhm.
and I got 3 children in 2 years, actually, twins, and then
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was very challenging, and I really had a kind of crisis. I
Mhm.
couldn't uh, handle the stress. I become so angry, and I was so afraid of hurting my children.
Uh-huh.
Then I started in therapy,
Mhm.
and then I found actually a colleague of mine who was a psychologist from a family therapy office, and he had started with Gestalt,
Uh-huh.
and he had done some courses in Gestalt, and he introduced me, and then I went to all kind of. It was in the time of, human
Uh-huh.
potential movement
Yeah.
and body work. So I went to a lot of body work, which was fine, and then I
In
went
in
more
the
to
80s?
Gestalt.
In the 80s? Was it in the
This
80s?
was in this was just in the 80s, end
Uh-huh.
of 70s, beginning of
Uh-huh.
90s.
Yeah.
It was in the 80s,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
because my daughters are born in the 70s. Yeah, this is in the 80s, yes. And then there were Americans coming to Norway for groups every summer, and I went there. And then I started to practice Gestalt therapy from what I learned. And then I understood this becomes kind of technique. I have to learn it proper.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
had to find I had to find uh, a training. Yeah,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
later.
And what attracted you? I mean,
Mm.
you said already that you were attracted to existentialism,
Mm.
yeah, to this generally to this humanistic approach. And what attracted you the most in Gestalt
Well,
therapy?
for me, it's a relief still is that I don't have to uh, be so clever a therapist. I mean, I have been working in psychiatric hospital, and they had so many theories how you should behave as a therapist. And to me, that was so. When I met Gestalt, and you are here and now, and you are sharing what you are seeing and hearing, and I learned to listen, and I learned a lot about communication. And then I think that's what we need, and I understand we need to see each other. And yeah, it's so much easier for me. I'm not with theory of Gestalt, but and I mean I've studied, but I think this aspect of being here and now and being using myself
Mhm.
and what's happening with me, like with you, and
Yeah.
that's so much easier.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially with contrast to what was required in the
yeah,
society, you know?
diagnosis was never my idea.
Mhm.
And that I should think, if this is a diagnosis, what do I say? How do I behave? And forgetting the person I talk with. And
Right.
I had some fantastic patients in psychiatry where it worked very well just to be here and now and,
Mhm,
and use what I learned. And
mhm.
oh yeah, it's so
Yeah.
much better.
And what about challenges during your Gestalt training? What was the most, I mean, difficult to stay with?
There was uh, I think the I started the Gestalt training in Norway together with a colleague, and we invited my now husband from Holland to teach us,
Ah,
because my colleague and me, we both had been to Gestalt courses and wanted a training. But we had children, and we didn't want to travel to actually Stockholm was then, or maybe to Denmark, to
mhm,
do a training, and there were no in Oslo. And then we started, and then I think the biggest challenge for me was my relationship with Dan during the training, because I was his student and his lover, and that's I mean, we were lovers before we started, but I mean, that's not really,
mm,
that's, so that was the most difficult. And who am I in this group? Also, because my girlfriend and I, we administrated the whole training.
yeah.
So we had all these mixed roles.
Uh-huh.
So the Gestalt, I mean, the Gestalt itself was fantastic for me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So
Mhm,
that's
mhm, mm, yeah.
my roles in the play. In the, yeah, what was it more? Yeah.
And do you think that those years with Gestalt, working as a therapist trainer, as I imagine, uh, how did it affect you as a person? How did Gestalt, yeah, practice affect you?
I live with Gestalt. I mean, this is um, yeah, that's it affects my whole life in a way, because it's uh, because Dan and I are living together. We have been running this training, this institute, and I've been working as a therapist and a trainer, and I think I have become um, much more aware and much more I was not very much aware, and I didn't listen very well. So I think I am uh, yeah, I'm becoming more at ease with who I am, and um, yeah, that's oh. I almost get empty my head. That was always a bit overwhelming. Oh, I think it has changed my whole life,
Mhm,
actually,
mhm, mhm,
and I'm still in a way the same.
mhm,
eh, But I am less. I'm less afraid, which is good. Mm, that's very good.
mhm,
I worry less, which is good.
mhm,
Less worries. So that's yeah.
mhm, mhm. Uh, and when you when you work yourself, um, how to how to how to put it? Do you what do you what is your Gestalt way of working with your clients? How is what is it your Gestalt? How do you do it? What do you know? What's the, most important for you with your clients? Do you like to work maybe more with groups? Yeah, I want.
It's a good question because I actually stopped working with clients 5 years ago.
Mhm,
I am 75,
mhm,
and then I had this feeling of mm, uh, yeah, it's enough.
uh-huh,
And I had been a helper since I was 15, and then as a therapist, I felt like a helper. But so I'm much more now into being a teacher or trainer.
uh-huh,
And then I work mostly with groups. I mean, in our training program, and I'm very much into how we use theory in our praxis,
uh-huh,
how theory support praxis, and how is praxis influence our theory. So it's
uh-huh,
and with my students, I am at the moment kind of slow, sitting there waiting. It doesn't have to happen so much. I'm not into the big dramas, and they don't have to scream anymore. But I'm much more being aware of your body and my body, and I'm much more aware of body and doing uh, working with you can say the whole. I mean, with actually actually like when I'm sitting with you, I'm breathing actually,
mhm,
aware, and I
mhm,
can hear you and I can still think. So that's mm,
mhm,
yeah. And with my students, I have a lot of at the moment students because it's all the time need for more trainers,
uh-huh,
even when I thought I should stop. And with students, I love it. I love to to teach and to yeah, to especially because in the training we have a lot of work uh, in the third and the fourth year, in the middle when the students are the therapists and you have the client, and I can support them in how do you work here, what do you do, what are your ideas, building up their awareness and supporting them to find their ways and to build trust in themselves. And
uh-huh,
yeah, that's
uh-huh, mhm.
yeah, I love that actually.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's like it. I understand that it's yeah, that you felt that okay, it's high time I stopped working with clients, but teaching is kind of it's something that makes you yeah, happy, satisfied, fulfilled. Um,
Mm.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
it was very surprising for me myself, because my dream my whole life had been to be a therapist.
uh-huh.
And suddenly, no, it's enough.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Enough. And then I started also to write and do some more research, etc., and all this
Yeah.
teaching. And
Uh-huh. Mhm.
I'm a person who always wants to do everything, to finish everything, and I'm going all in what I'm doing, and then that means I have to make choices.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. True,
Mm.
true. Uh-huh. And
Mm.
tell me, uh, mm, what do you think about Gestalt therapy these days and in the future? Do you have some concerns? You don't worry at all?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think I share the worry with a lot of other Gestalt therapists today, that we are not marketing ourselves good enough.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, you are doing a bit with with making these interviews and putting them out in podcasts, etc. But I think we have to be more visible and support, yeah, the research. And so I mean, in the world, yes, and in Norway, it's also the same challenge to be accepted. For me, it is so difficult to understand that, because we are running a fantastic institute with a lot of students, all satisfied. They have um, good feedback, etc., and they are working in different parts of Norway, and we have a very good renommé, and still we are not accepted as, as a direction in psychotherapy, and it gives me headache.
Uh-huh.
It that makes me angry and depressed, and this having this battle we have in Norway, and we all have to
Mhm.
fight for another paradigm. That's, oh,
Mhm.
we really have to fight. Uh, on the other hand, yeah, I'm also optimistic, because I see it's growing behind me. I was so worried, but now I see it's growing behind me, and that helps me to see that a lot in our country, a lot of my old or new also students are really engaging
Mhm.
themselves
Mhm.
in social politic for Gestalt therapy, but also for mental health. And yeah, in this pandemic times, it's so strange that that just had taken away. We didn't have to pay a VAT for some time when we were registered, and now they took that away. Yeah, for and it is like, my God. So yeah, okay.
Mm.
But that's not my battle. I did that battle 20 years ago, but now someone else is fighting it. But I think
Mhm.
it's strange that I stay in this old paradigm with diagnostic thinking and psychiatry. That's
Mm.
mm.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see your concern, and also as well as one of the people, I guess, in charge of the institute also there. So this is like very frustrating, I imagine.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
That,
And you mentioned students and their role. I mean, your past students? And what about community and
Mm.
Gestalt community in Norway? How is it? Is it strong? You think? Is it growing? Um,
Yeah, it is. It's at least organized well. I think there are. I think actually that goes well in Norway. Actually, it goes very well. Actually,
uh-huh,
I
mhm,
think so.
mhm.
I think it's um, yeah, actually, and the community is in a way, it's always few people working in it, but there are interest and yeah, on social media, etc. And yeah, I think I have hope for the Norwegian milieu. So I hope also for Europe and
Yeah,
for
European.
your country also. It's
Mhm,
always a bit difficult now with the pandemic, isn't it? That
mhm.
we we meet only on the screen.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
yeah, but it is possible at least to connect.
yes, we can meet.
You can meet. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised that we can teach and all we can do on
Yes. This is.
internet and what we can manage. So that's for sure. It's
Mm, mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Would you like to add something, Bro? Or how are you? How is it? How are you doing?
Mm. Yeah, I'm fine. I think it's very inspiring talking with you and to think back and also to be in what's here now. And mm, it's yeah, it's more like yeah, I'm just breathing. Yeah, it's this having talked so much. I
Uh-huh.
have talked so much, and it's like, did it give you meaning? How was it for you to listen to me? It's like, oh, yeah,
Uh-huh.
I've told you so much.
Say again. Say again
Yeah,
what you said.
I wonder, how was it for you to listen to me? I feel like I've been talking and talking and talking, and
Uh-huh.
now I feel a bit like, ooh, how was this?
Okay.
Oh,
No, so it's I like it. I like to to get to know so much about people, and now getting to know something about you, and also from this Norwegian context.
yes, 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 yes,
Very
yes.
interesting, and
Yeah, yeah.
mm.
It, it, it's far from Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the other hand, I think actually uh, I have met a lot of Polish people in Krakow, but we also have a lot of students from Poland.
Ah,
Yes, a lot of people come to work in Norway from Poland.
no, I don't
Oh
know.
yes, yes.
Oh,
In Norway, um, Polish people earn a lot, and they also have a lot of skills. I mean, of course, from workers, but also psychologists, etc.
huh?
So, and some of them settle. So we have in almost every group at least one person from Poland.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
wow,
yes.
that's wonderful. I wasn't aware of that. Oh,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
interesting.
which I like that I mean, even when we are living in Norway, there are a lot of people coming to live
Yeah,
here from abroad, huh?
right.
And yeah, and many of them go to our training. Which
Mm,
is good. So
wow.
it's not only for Norwegians, but they have to speak Norwegian.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And
Ah,
we
great.
have a lot of nationalities.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this is
And
maybe the future in Poland. It's not. It's. I guess we are like homogeneous in this respect. But wow, it's good to hear.
yes, yes, yes. And I am married to Dan, and he's Dutch. So we have Dutch grandchildren, or he has, but I feel like mine. So we are also
Yeah.
always been quite
Yeah.
international, more to Europe, and which also made us bring this training program, also made us more connected, like
Uh-huh.
being to EIGT, being to Forge, being in Europe, etc.
Yeah. 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 Sure.
Much more than just Norway.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, sure. Wow.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for this interview, Gra. It's been a surprise because intentionally I haven't been checking anything about you. I just wanted, to be the
Oh,
surprise.
that's nice. And I just tell you what comes to my mind from your questions, which
Yeah,
is very nice. That's what I like here and now, and that's and all the rest. Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
Well,
yeah. So thank you. I will send you a preview of this video
okay, thank you.
in an email and consent form.
Okay, yeah, fine, thank
Okay, so thank you very much and have a good evening.
you. Yes, thanks to the same to you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.